All right, everybody. It is now officially 10:30. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for today's virtual coffee break. And welcome. For those who are new on today's call, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat or the Q&A window at any time. We will have some time at the end, and for anything else, feel free to email us at sales@tristaterestores.com. We are recording. Links to view the video and PDF presentation will be shared with you tomorrow morning through Zoom. Visit tristaterestores.com/VCB for a complete archive and something new we're doing. We're actually moving our entire coffee break archive to YouTube. So here very soon, you will be able to check out the entire coffee break archive on our YouTube channel at Tri-State Restores. 10 lucky winners today will receive a $5 Starbucks gift card. Stay to the end and find out how. After the coffee break, please complete the post-event survey and share the topics you'd like us to cover in our next one. Our next coffee break is slated for the last Wednesday of the month, April 30th. News for everybody here on the call today. The reason why today's presentation is all about mold remediation is by request. So I do pay attention to these surveys. You can take it as many times as you want. So if you have a different opinion one month than the other, let me know. I love to hear ideas from you guys. You guys are what drive me to produce these presentations with all of you in mind. And if you like this presentation, and I sincerely hope you do, please share a review of Tri-State on Google. It is subject to Google's review and approval process, but I'll send you a gift card as a thank you. And stay to the end, one lucky winner will get a $50 crumble cookie gift. So who we are Tri-State Restorations, a family-owned, locally operated, established firm here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We specialize in mitigation, remediation, removal, cleanup, and restoration efforts of both large and small water, fire, mold, biohazard, lead, and odor-caused damages. Our company's mission is turning disaster into peace of mind because we're committed to easing the burden of handling your property disaster by providing you with the best customer experience and services possible. Again, here's our suite of services: water mitigation, mold remediation, that's what we're talking about today, fire and smoke restoration, odor control, biohazard and trauma disinfection, and sewage mitigation and cleanup efforts. We're licensed, insured, reliable. We're an ICRC certified firm, EPA lead safe firm, IQA smart mold firm, 5-star rated on Google. All of our employees are infectious disease and water restoration technicians certified, and we have 2 EPA licensed asbestos inspectors on staff. We also belong to all of these wonderful communities, the Property Management Association. We're members of 2 chapters of CAI and AOBA. And I know some of you guys on this call here in the property management world, and thank you all so much for joining us last week at the PM Expo, a day at the fair. We had a blast. I hope everybody got a chance to get a funnel cake, get some cotton candy, all kinds of games were there. It was truly a fun experience. Here's just a few photos of our experience. This is me and my partner in crime, Mr. Dion, that everybody met last month on the coffee break. And, we had a blast and it was great meeting everybody. Really hoping to start taking care of everybody's communities. Thanks, Scott. It was super cool. We'll have to have you come out next time, sir. So let's get into it. Today's presentation is a little bit of a doozy. I'm going to get through it pretty quickly, but like I said, share questions, concerns, whatever the case may be in the chat or the Q&A window, and I'll try to address them as they come in. Okay, guys? And good morning, Grace. So spring is in the air. As you can tell by my voice, unfortunately, hay fever's hitting me pretty hard this morning. We're going to talk about preparing your property for the upcoming heavy rains and protecting you from mold and microbial growth. So springtime inspections. These are just some common ones. Every property is unique, just like every human being is unique. So definitely take the care and consideration you need for the likeness of your particular property. Do you have a sump pump? Make sure that it's functioning properly. With these heavy rains, a lot of times they can get over inundated. We want to make sure that they are operable. A pro tip here is to have a backup sub pump with a battery backup to avoid failures from power outages. Inspect your piping system. Check your pipes, plumbing, valves, and faucets for any leaks. Those pinhole leaks can get out of hand. Months go by before you really notice anything happening. And before you know it, you have mold and microbial growth to take care of. And those are friends we don't want in our homes. Inspect your backflow valves. These will close automatically to prevent water and sewage from overflowing into your home in the event of a backup. Inspect door and window caulking. Check for cracks that may have been caused by expanding and melting snow and ice over the winter. Make necessary repairs to prevent water migration and unwanted indoor moisture and humidity, which can later cause microbial growth. Multifamily community maintenance in a community association or multifamily property, spring seasonal maintenance projects can vary depending on the particular size and shape of the property, whether you have multiple buildings or you're a single, mid or high rise. Some community spring checklists may consist of just removing winter debris from the pits and planters out front, but others may require coordination with, local and licensed vendors to assist with the cleaning and prepping of swimming pools, tennis courts, or playgrounds, checking the property's plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. Make sure you're clearing any clogged drains, maintaining roofs and awnings, and much more. And how to prepare your property. So there's a lot you can do to make sure that when the water makes its way to the drain and not into your home. A little time spent now can save you a big headache later as the weather warms up and spring rains start falling. Inspect the entire property as soon as possible. This includes your surroundings, foundation, basement, decks, patios, sidewalks, and driveways. Ensure that they're able to resist water and that water can be directed away from dwellings and buildings. Inspect downspouts and eaves. Be sure that all downspouts extend away from the structures and walls so that water drains safely away from your home and into your yard. Create clear pathways for water to migrate away from your property. Here's just a great example. You can tell they probably had issues of pooling water here right up against this doorway, and they've put in a French drain system here where the water's actually coming in and then draining out this way. Ensuring the correct pathway for water till the last frost is passed, it's important to have your gutters and downspouts cleaned and repaired. Having your gutters and downspouts cleaned early in the season can also help prevent damage from the rains. So, how much rain do we actually get in the DMV each year? The average sliding 31-day rainfall during the spring in Washington, D.C. is rapidly increasing. Starting the season at 2.5 inches, then it exceeds 4.5 inches. It rarely falls below 9.9 inches, and ending the season at about 3.5 inches. It rarely exceeds 6.1 or falls below 1.4. So you see, we're kind of like right here in this middle zone between 2 and 6 inches. And then here's another graph for anybody who wants to geek out on data. I'm kind of a data geek. I love spreadsheets. But right here, you'll see kind of the average rainfall in the springtime of the DC area is around 11 inches. The 11 inches of water can cause extreme damage to a property. So just make sure we're taking care of all of those gutters and downspouts and that water is migrating away from your property. My pro tip here for everybody is the next time it rains, it's supposed to be raining this weekend. Just take a walk around the perimeter of your property. Look for pooling water. Look for any standing water in any areas. These are red flags. We want to make sure that water is diverting away from the property, away from any structures that could possibly be damaged by them. You may need to call a landscaper and have somebody come out to do some grading for you around your property. That's essentially making sure that water can't pool up next to your home by putting in either rocks, shrubberies, mulch, lots of different methods for doing this. But you always want the water to divert away. Warm weather plus humidity and rain equals the perfect condition for mold and microbial growth. And as most of you are all from the DC area, you know that we have excess humidity to share with everyone else during our spring and summer months. So we definitely want to make sure we're tackling this before problems start. What is microbial growth in mold? Well, it's a general term for harmful microorganisms, including molds, yeast, and bacteria. Molds are fungi that can be found both indoors and outdoors. No one knows just how many species of fungi exist, but estimates range from tens of thousands to several 100,000 or more. Just like all living things, water is essential to the life of microbes. Molds grow best in warm, damp, and humid conditions and spread and reproduce by making spores. Mold spores can survive harsh environmental conditions, such as dry conditions that do not support normal mold growth. That there, like I said, there are hundreds of thousands of types of molds. We'll get into it here in a second, but not all of these molds are bad for us. But the majority of times we don't want them in our property. So are all molds bad? No. Well, some molds are actually used in manufacturing of products that we regularly consume. While some molds are beneficial, it's crucial to distinguish the difference between good and bad molds, as some can be extremely harmful or even toxic. Cheese production is a great example. Certain molds like Penicillium roqueforti or blue cheese, Penicillium camperdi or and Geotrichum candidum, camembert, and brie cheeses are essential for the flavor and texture of these cheeses. Medicine, the mold Penicillium is the source of penicillin, a widely used antibiotic. Food and beverage fermentation. Molds play a role in the fermentation of various foods and beverages, including beer, wine, soy sauce, and tempeh. And natural decomposition. Molds are natural decomposers, helping to break down the dead organic matter in the environment, which is great for anybody with a green thumb. This actually helps us grow all of the beautiful plants that we see and love during the spring. So what are some common indoor molds? Cladosporium, this is a little picture of what it looks like. It's a genus of fungi, including some of the most common indoor and outdoor molds. These are commonly caused by plant pathogens. Stachybotrys is a genus of molds. Um, they reproduce very, very quickly. And this is actually extremely harmful if it is found within your internal living environment. Aspergillus is a genus consisting of several hundred mold species found in various climates worldwide. And Alternaria, this is the one that is attacking me today. This is very commonly known as a mold that causes hay fever or hypersensitivity for those with asthma. So anyone on here also suffering from hay fever or springtime allergies already? I feel like it's so early in the season. But you know, that post-nasal drip and hay fever hit you like a brick sometimes. Feel free to share in the chat. We can commiserate together. So how does mold affect you? I already touched on this a little bit, but common effects include allergenic reactions, nasal stuffiness, eye irritation, wheezing, skin irritations, fever, shortness of breath, and lung infection and disease. Mold versus your property. Yeah, sneezing, Pearl. It's a lot. Um, when mold grows on a property's integral structure components like studs and framing, it can eventually cause a structural collapse or for it to crumble. Mold will eat away at building materials, insulation, carpeting, and paper backing. It's a delicious food source for them, and they quickly break it down into organic matter that they can consume. It is very important to safely remediate and remove mold when found. However, if you suspect you have a mold or microbial issues within your property but can't physically see signs of an infestation, having air quality tests done by a professional like Tri-State can help provide you with peace of mind. One of the most telltale signs is a musty odor, that kind of damp, sweet odor that comes with molds. It's the same kind of odor you smell outside after a good spring rain. If you're smelling that in an indoor environment, that's a huge red flag that you might have something going on that is not readily seen. Bleach versus mold. I get this question all the time. Mold and mildew are both fungi, and so are mushrooms. We'll throw that in there. While bleach is great at helping clean up a mildew-covered bathroom, it is not a recommended choice for assisting with your property's mold remediation efforts. The EPA does not recommend using bleach to kill or remove mold, and the answer behind that is because it doesn't. Bleach does not remove dead mold spores, which can become food for new spores, and bleach does not kill mold on porous surfaces, such as textiles or wood, because mold spreads its roots deep into these surfaces. So think about mold as kind of like it is a fungi, but kind of like a mushroom. The mushrooms are not mold, I'll put it that way. But it does have roots where it digs into these surfaces so that it can start to penetrate the different types of surfaces and bring it down into that organic matter that it can then consume. So essentially, it's turning it into food that it can eat. And we don't want that in our homes. So, what does the EPA recommend? Well, first and foremost, prioritize moisture control. The EPA emphasizes that the key to preventing and controlling mold is to address the moisture issues that cause it. Because what did we learn earlier today? Mold is caused by warmth and moisture. Our pro tip here is to install a permanent dehumidifier to help with excess humidity problems. This is a great tip for areas where ventilation is not an option. This can definitely help knock down that excess humidity. A lot of people have these in their basements. It's a really good way to help protect a basement that doesn't naturally have good ventilation from having the excess humidity. And getting into ventilation if you choose to use disinfectants or biocides, just to ensure the area is well ventilated. You want to make sure that moist spaces like bathrooms and kitchens typically have flowing water from time to time, have proper ventilation, like a ceiling fan or some kind of a vent to prevent that extra moisture and humidity from building up in the area. Tools and chemicals the EPA recommends. They recommend using HEPA vacuums. They're important for removing mold particulates from surfaces. Air scrubbers. HEPA air scrubbers will filter out mold spores from the air down to 99.97 microns. Moisture meters and flare cameras, they can help pinpoint the damp areas prone to mold growth. And it allows us to kind of see behind structures. We're able to look for cold spots in a wall cavity where we don't have to be invasive, actually ripping the wall down to check. And then definitely make sure you're looking at the EPA registered fungicides and antimicrobial agents. Not all chemicals are built the same. There are several that they recommend for use. We use a couple of these in a house here. We use Concrobium and Benefect Decon 30. And here's just a picture of that Benefect. An interesting fact about Benefect, and one of the reasons why I love this, is it's a natural botanically derived chemical. It actually is created with time, the herb, not the clock. So when you're thinking about Thanksgiving, you can also be thankful that that delicious herb can also create something that is very, very useful in day-to-day bacterial cleaning. Our standard practices for testing, removal, and remediation, air sampling and tape swab samples, contaminant of affected areas to limit airborne hazards in affected areas. The key here is removal and then cleaning. If you ever go down the avenue with a company, then they tell you to fog the area, that the fogging will be a remediation solution. What that's doing, it's actually only knocking out the aerosolized spores. So mold spores, develop and then they spread through the air. And that's what's actually hazard to us as humans. The fogging method, all it does is remove the spores from the air. It doesn't actually attack the source of the spores. The source of the spores is the mold that has grown into, your framing or your drywall or whatever food source it's decided is something delicious for them. So for us, mold remediation includes the removal of the mold and the disposal of it. What we do, we can perform necessary testing and remediate visibly affected areas. What we don't do is find the source of a mold issue that is unknown or hidden. For instance, you have a pinhole leak in a pipe in behind your wall cavity. We are not plumbers. We can give you our best guess as to this may be what is causing the issue at hand. But we definitely defer to other experts in the industry to assist you with finding those sources and fixing them. Indoor mold can cause irreversible damage to fabric, upholstery, wood, and other building materials too. Here's just a few of our recent projects that we have some fun microbial going on here. This is a really good one. This is a radiator that had a pinhole leak. And it went unknown for quite some time. This all here was underneath a layer of flooring. So fairly invisible to the naked eye until we did our investigation and determined that water was in fact migrating under that flooring. And once we pulled it, we found our fuzzy friends here that need to be evicted immediately. So I'm going to go through a couple of fun project profiles and just share a little bit more about some recent work that we've done. Oh, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. And thanks, Amanda. Remediation of mold in a residential kitchen. So fabulous looking kitchen here, great daylight. But you would never know there was a hidden issue here. So there was a pipe break in the wall behind her kitchen cabinets. It was actually located under the sink. And it went on for quite some time until she had a regular annual inspection done by her plumber. And we were called in due to the moisture present in the inside of her kitchen cabinets, as well as some suspect microbial growth being found under the sink. You'll see in the next few images, this issue was unfortunately very widespread, as the mold found a perfect food source of drywall, insulation, and subfloor, and had made a not so happy home in this kitchen. So once we were able to detach these cabinets, as you can see, that small spot of mold that was on the back side of that cabinet was actually indicating a much larger outbreak in this kitchen. We went through the mold remediation process, removing all of these affected areas and this flooring right here. Then we worked to dry everything out after the cleaning process was done. And here is the kitchen back to its former glory. By the way, for those of you that don't know, we are a full service company. We can also assist you with the repair work as well. And judging from this picture back to the original photo from our inspection, you'd never be able to tell that anything had happened. And that's our goal. We want to bring you back to life as normal. Here's another mold remediation project. This is in a complex trash disposal room, which is on the lower level where the condos are stacked above it. Unit 203, directly above the trash compactor room, had a leak from the toilet or shower, causing major microbial growth in the ceiling in the trash compactor room. We set up a containment, a dehumidifier, and air scrubber to help prevent cross-contamination. We mitigated the unit 203. They did have some subfloor damage and some wood rot. And then we worked to mitigate the trash compactor room. So this plastic here, you'll see this is the containment that we built, the source containment to make sure that these spores did not become aerosolized. This is what it looked like prior to the remediation efforts. Definitely, Ruth, definitely check under your kitchen sink. And then here is our final fun project to share with you. This was the remediation of mold in a basement office and rec room. This customer had signs of visible mold behind the wallpaper in her basement home office. While the source of the mold and previous water intrusion was unknown, we were able to properly remediate this space, leaving her with a livable environment while she worked to repair her foundation. For this project, we had an industrial hygienist come out to assess and inspect the property, providing us with our roadmap for mediation. We often partner with industry professionals like industrial hygienists so that they can provide us with that roadmap. Again, we are not source finders. So if we see something small that may be much larger, we do call in professionals to ensure that we're capturing every bit of the property that has been affected, removing that source so that there are no other harmful contaminants in this customer's future. So here's kind of what this office space looked like prior to the work being done, and this is one of my mold remediators, Mr. Daniel here. He's starting to cut the wall. And this is what the insulation looked like behind the wall once cut. You can see these little dark areas. Here, these are red flags. Here's the visible microbial growth. And then here's what it looked like behind that wallpaper. So this was the telltale sign that we knew something was going on behind this wall here. Here's just some other affected areas. Mold started to grow on the carpet. It decided that the carpet padding was a delicious food source as well as the drywall. And then here is after the cleaning. Look, big difference, guys. It's amazing what our technicians can do. This is the final product here after the remediation has been completed. We also put an encapsulant paint on all surface structures. This provides a long-lasting effective barrier to prevent future microbial issues. Now, this is an interesting thing. I'm going to throw this in here. This isn't common for every job that we do, but due to the unique layout of this room, we were unable to duct the contaminated air through a window because there weren't any windows in this basement area. This is another reason for her having kind of poor ventilation issues down there. So what you see here is a special technique called a baffle. A baffle changes the course of airflow and redirects it. And in this case, it's into a portable bin. So here's the air getting cleaned through our air scrubber, again, down to 99.97. And then it goes into the bin. And we are capturing all of the aerosolized spores into this bin with chemical and water added to trap and kill the spores so that they cannot become re-aerosolized or repopulate this area. And then to the right, you see us HEPA vacuuming with a wire brush, just ensuring that we're getting all particulates up and removing them from their environment. Now here's some live work environment of another multi-room mold remediation project. And this is showing you the negative air containments in place. There were 7 air scrubbers and 3 dehumidifiers set under negative pressure inside of a large containment to facilitate the air quality improvements in this space. As you can see right now, my technician is unzipping this zipper and he's about to enter into the contaminated room. We have our air scrubber ducting the contaminated air out of the window, exhausting away from the property. You can tell that our containment is working because it looks like it's actually curving inwards into the affected area. That's how we know that we have achieved negative air pressure. And this is post remediation, so everything here is nice and clean. We've already done some encapsulation paint on some of the structures. This visit today was to finish that encapsulation painting on all of these cinder blocks here. But this is a clean, hazard-free environment at this point in time. But we're still going to continue with that negative air containment and those air scrubbers running for a full 72 hours after we've removed the hazard, just to ensure we're providing positive, clean, fresh air quality that is safe and inhabitable. Okay. So again, see this curve? This means it's under negative air pressure because our equipment actually sucks the air in this containment. If you don't see this, that means that the remediation project is actually not going to be successful because it's not fully bringing in all of the air to clean it. So indoor air pollution and your health. What is an indoor air quality specialist? Indoor air quality specialists like Tri-State Restorations have unique training to diagnose, consult, and remedy common indoor air quality issues like mold. We're a member of the IAQA. Our employees are trained to understand the fundamentals of airborne and particulate toxins and infectious agents, how it affects the indoor air quality of your property and your health. So some immediate effects that you might suffer from include irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, sometimes headaches, dizziness, and fatigue. Long-term effects may show up months or even years after exposure has occurred. and only after longer repeated periods of exposure. These effects include respiratory disease, heart disease, and cancer. Some can be severely debilitating and fatal. It's prudent to try to improve the indoor air quality in your home, even if symptoms are not noticeable now. Here's just a good chart here. We've got danger level 1, 2, and 3. Danger level 1 is allergens and particulates. This includes dust, pollen, mold, fungi, mildew, tobacco smoke, wood smoke, vehicle exhaust, dust mites, pet allergens, insect debris. Danger level 2 is where you get into streptococcus, pneumococcus, Legionella, tuberculosis, influenza, pneumonia, cold viruses, and SARS. And then danger level 3 are actual toxic compounds like formaldehyde, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, pesticides, and more. So just to be aware, there are much more severe in-home air quality pathogens that can harm you. But let's not knock mold down a few pegs. It can still lead to very, very harmful outcomes, even death. So I want to make sure everybody's staying ahead of things and not being subjected to harmful contaminants. Air quality testing. So how do you know if you have poor air quality in your home? You can purchase an indoor air quality monitor. You could contact a professional like Tri-State to perform air sampling for laboratory results. You can install carbon monoxide detectors, conduct a radon test, and then you can also have a professional come out to inspect your property for volatile organic compounds or VOCs, lead, and asbestos. These are some air quality measurements. This is a little air quality index meter here. The AQI works like a thermometer that runs from 0 to 500 degrees. However, instead of showing changes in the temperature, the AQI is a way of showing changes in the amount of pollution in the air. If anybody also has like the Weather Channel app or any of those on your phone, I think Apple has their own version of that. I'm an Android person, so apologies. Um, they actually tell you what the AQI index is daily, along with the temperature and the weather and all of that other good stuff. So it'll normally tell you good, moderate, unhealthy, or very unhealthy. It doesn't necessarily give you the exact AQI reading, but it does give you a measurement of is it safe to breathe the air. If anybody remembers the fires that we had from West Virginia last summer and all the smoke was in the air, most every day we were at a red level unhealthy. And that's when you want to make sure you're wearing your N95 outdoors and just protecting yourself from breathing in those harmful contaminants. Indoor air quality meters. So these are readily available. This is one that we have in a house. And then this one over here is one that I found on Amazon. An indoor air quality meter quickly checks for carbon dioxide concentrations as well as temperature, humidity, dew point, and wet bulb. An air quality monitor is a device that tracks temperature, humidity, particulate matter, and formaldehyde in your space. So this one is just a nice quick glimpse into, is the air that I'm breathing in my property safe? What's the temperature? What's the humidity? It uses the AQI here, but it simplifies it with a smiley face saying this is good, moderate, and then severe. And I think this was like $20 on Amazon. So don't quote me on that, but it's definitely readily available. And I recommend if you're curious, definitely check it out. Air sampling. Now, this is something that Tri-State can perform and help you out with. Air sampling is a process used to determine what airborne contaminants are present in an environment. It uses special instruments to detect contaminants such as gases, vapors, dusts, and fibers in the air. So not just mold, but other harmful airborne contaminants. We use air sampling methods to detect mold and asbestos-containing materials. This is what an asbestos cartridge looks like, and this is what a mold or microbial cartridge looks like. Essentially, this cartridge gets put on the air sampling machine, and we collect air. It filters through the cartridge between 5 and 10 minutes. It's running. And then we tape up these cartridges and send them off to a laboratory for testing. What they do is they're checking the cartridge for any contaminants. They're going to run very thorough tests, and then they're going to send you back a synopsis of this is what we found in the breathable air. Here are red flags. Here are not so red flags, but interesting information for you to know what you're breathing. Mold testing. So we in-house have two tiers of mold testing. A mold estimate tier one is a non-invasive inspection with one of our ICRC mold certified technicians. We use PPE. We do a full moisture assessment with our hygrometer, protimeter, FLIR infrared cameras, sometimes borescopes, depending on where the affected area is. And we provide a written estimate with remediation recommendations. Now, mold tier one is for visible confirmation. So if you visibly see suspect microbial growth and it is of a concern, this is where we come out and we forego testing because we already have visible confirmation. If you do not have visible confirmation, we can perform air sampling, just like the slide before. This also includes a non-invasive inspection with our ICRC mold certified technician, the use of PPE, the FLIR infrared camera, borescope. We can either do a tape sample on a physical surface, or we provide 3 air samples. This will include an outside sample, an unaffected inside sample, and an affected inside sample. The EPA registered lab testing is included in this, along with a written estimate and remediation recommendations. We can definitely test multiple areas. The 3 samples have a control. So the outside sample is to check to see, all right, you have um, aspergillus outside and inside. Well, that tells us that you're probably getting this in from the airflow into your home, or maybe you're walking into your home and it's tracking in on your shoes, or maybe you need to reseal your windows, or maybe you have an area of your roof that's exposed and open, but somehow that outside air is getting inside. Now, the red flag comes when you find a mold in your indoor environment that is not in the outside sample. That's where we know we have a true problem that we need to take care of immediately, because that did not naturally come into your home by air migrating in there. It grew and found a home there. Other types of mold sampling include surface sampling. This right here, this is a tape lift. Here's some little ones right here that I took a picture of. This is essentially like a super sticky slide that we use to stick on the physical surface. Typical uses for this would be we see suspect microbial growth on drywall. We'll use a tape sample, put it up against that microbial on the drywall, and then quickly put it on the cartridge. This gets sent to the laboratory. They're able to tell you specifically what types of molds you have on the wall that we just tested. We also do swab testing. This one is a very, very handy test because you can virtually test any solid surface in anywhere, like anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a wall. It could be a desk, anything solid. We're not doing anything that is non-porous. I mean, sorry, porous, like carpeting or cloth or wood with this method. But it's essentially the same thing. We're using a swab, we're rubbing it on the affected area, and then we are going in one direction, then the other, and then reversing to ensure that we are successfully capturing the sample that needs to go to the laboratory. And I know that was a lot, and we're a little bit over our half an hour here, but any questions, any comments? I'm all ears for you guys. I'd love to help. Um, yeah, Nicole, it does. So, if you have any concerns, my recommendation to you is definitely don't sit on it. We're about to get into these warmer months. Right now is a perfect time to start tackling things before we get into this warm, swampy DC weather that we're so used to loving and getting here in the area. That's going to be when a small outbreak turns into a much larger outbreak because of the environmental conditions. Oh, thanks, you guys. Oh, no questions. Yep, good weather for timing too. Exactly. I try to stay ahead of this for you guys. Want to make sure I'm educating you on the hazard before it can become an issue, for sure. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna keep on moseying through here. Oh, I do actually have a couple. How do dehumidifiers, in case you want to use one to help with purifying the air. So humidifiers don't necessarily help with purifying the air. What humidifiers do is extract moisture from the air. So they will help you with humidity conditions. So let's say you have a basement bathroom that doesn't have a vent and there's no windows down there, but that's your favorite shower to take a shower in. I would recommend that person install a dehumidifier relatively close to that bathroom to ensure that all of the excess humidity caused by the shower is getting trapped and taken care of before it remains in that environment. That's what causes the kind of perfect conditions for microbial to start finding its way into your home. If you are looking to do something with purifying the air, there are HEPA air filtration devices or air scrubbers, we like to call them in the industry. And these are what help filter down to 99.97 microns. I also recommend if you have like central AC or heat in your home, make sure you're buying the highest rated filters you can. That is one thing I will say, don't cheap out on, don't get the lowest budget price filters. You want to get the ones that are HEPA rated, that will also help you with indoor air quality. What about wildfire smoke indoors? I'm in California. We've had so many. I keep the windows shut. However, the smoke does seep inside. It definitely does. As you mentioned, at 95, what about indoors? Any types of air purifier? Again, especially because you're in California, you guys have had so many wildfires. I do recommend, a HEPA air filtration device. These are generally readily available. They have smaller, more residential kind of consumer-based ones. You don't have to go gung ho and get the huge industrial size equipment that like our company uses. But that will definitely help you out. Um, and yes, we also can perform mold inspections for kind of pre-sale purchases for somebody looking to purchase a home. We do just need the current homeowner's authorization prior to accessing that property. So how we operate, we contract with the actual property owner. So if you're kind of in the middle, you're about to buy a home and you just want to give it the once over for peace of mind, give us a call. We'll work with you as long as you're in good relations with the actual seller of the home. We'll work together as a group and it'll be a team effort, but we'll make sure that we get those taken care of for you prior to the purchase of the home. Awesome. All right. And if there's any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat. But I'm going to keep moseying on. I try to keep these nice and short and sweet for everybody so we can return to our normal lives. In closing, if you suspect you have a property hazard or require assistance with water, fire, smoke, lead, or biohazard damages, give us a call. We're available 24/7 to help with your disaster. And I will preface this and say, when you call us, if it's after hours, early morning, weekends, you're not getting a call center. You're getting me, you're getting my colleague Dion, you're getting somebody else in our production office, you're getting one of my team members. Somebody from our team is always answering the phone 24/7. So definitely let us know, and we will be there to help you within about 90 minutes. And then I'm gonna throw this in here. Dion, my partner in crime here, you guys all met him last month when we did the plumbing coffee break. He is doing really, really awesome things on YouTube here. He does a YouTube Shorts once every couple weeks. It is a quick 1 minute lesson on something to help you prevent property damage. So, do you know how to use a shutoff valve? If you don't and you want to learn how to use one in less than a minute, check out our YouTube channel. He has a whole slew of these in our series, and new ones are coming out every couple of weeks. There's this one right here is in particular specifically on the shutoff valve and how to operate it properly. And time for our grand prize, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's been a wonderful, wonderful educating time, and I will definitely love to give somebody this crumble cookie prize pack. So let's do my random number generator here and see who our lucky winner today is. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I'm looking for number 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. Oh my goodness. All right, Grace Meyer. Congratulations, you're lucky number 11. You just won yourself some crumble cookies, darling. We get some confetti action going on for you here. Make it official. I will reach out to you today after the presentation and see about how you'd like me to get this gift to you. But congratulations on being our grand prize winner today. But wait, there's more. For the first 10 people who respond in the chat and let me know one thing they learned about this presentation, we'll be giving you a $5 gift card. Oh, look, see, you guys are all awake. I was worried. Everybody was just waiting for this slide. I learned that you can't see mold. The smoke can indicate it's their great job, Holly. Mold can be found even in penicillin. Yes, and cheese is delicious, so not all mold is bad. Health effects may show up years after exposure has occurred to include rest. Exactly. Oh, great job, guys. I'm so happy you got a lot out of today. Never heard of an air scrubber before this lesson. Definitely, Ruth, if you would like for me to give you a little demo on one, I'd be happy to show you. Hit me up offline. I can even have Mr. Dion bring one by your office and share with your team. It's actually really, really amazing how this equipment works. Yeah, use a vacuum with a HEPA filter. Exactly. Oh, fantastic, guys. I'm so happy we were able to do this for you guys today. I hope you learned a lot and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you'll be joining us next month. So we will see you all last Wednesday a month. Next month is April 30th. Topic is TBD, but again, like I said, fill out that post-event survey. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about. I'm happy to cater these presentations to you. I just need to know what you'd like for me to talk about. Thank you all so very much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Enjoy this spring weather we're having here and take care now. Be safe. Thank you all. Have a great one.